Good morning. This is our fourth day of online collaboration, and this is Thursday, April 2. Today we're going to cover skill D8, and D8, in it we will be writing equations of lines given a point and a slope or given 2 points. Now I want to stress, this is one of the central core foundational tasks that you need to do for Algebra 2 as well as for Algebra 1. So, you make sure you've got this solidly down. All right, so I also want to remind you that your goal is to reach an 85 or better. Now, once you get to 85, you can stop and you will get your full extra credit that we talked about. But I'm going to extend the deadline by April 3, which is Friday. So I'm going to extend it to April 3. So extended deadline. All right, so we extended, we'll use 2, extended to April 3 to get for extra credit, okay? And remember that extra credit you won't get until such time as the district allows us to go ahead and do some grading for you. All right, so we're going to be using the slope formula, and if you remember, the slope formula is rise over run. And then since we're also going to be finding a point, then we've got an x1 and a y1 coordinate here. And so this is the point slope form, which is what we're going to be working with today. So you will be putting in your coordinates for one of the points, and it doesn't matter which one it is. And then you're going to put in the slope, and then you're going to distribute the slope to the x, and then the x1 coordinate that is from your given point. The slope-intercept form, you already have had a lot of practice with this. We'll be looking at it in the future, but we are not going to cover it today. Okay? All right, and I brought this sheet back to just remind you that this is probably the easiest way for you to show your work for yourself to make sure you got it right, because you do not want to try to do this stuff in your head. If you try to do that, eventually you'll get to a point where you can't get correct answers. You're going to start getting things wrong, and then you aren't going to reach your 85 points. So do this. You can write on it, and then you can get your little eraser that we made, and you just erase the darn thing, and you're ready to start again. So there's no need to have any more paper if you don't want to. But if you do want to use regular paper, go ahead. That's fine. It's okay. And it's the choice is yours. All right? Okay, so now we're going to look at finding the equation of the line in slope-intercept form given a point and slope. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing here. So, I'm going to remind you that this is your point, and obviously this is your slope. And this is going to be your x1 and your y1 in your formula, and your slope in this case is m equals 5. So we're going to just write this up as y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And then you're going to substitute the coordinates of your point for your x1 and your y1 here, and then your slope you're going to put in here where m is. Okay. Obviously, here's your x1, goes over here. Here's your y1, it goes here. And here's your slope, it goes over here. Right? Okay, so let's do it. So y minus, and then our y1 is 10. So we're going to put a 10 in there. And that equals Your slope is 5, so we'll put a 5 in there. And your times x minus, and then your x1 is 2. So you'll put a 2 in. Now we simplify and then we undo. So simplifying here, we have a job of going ahead and we want to distribute the 5 to the x and the negative 2. So we're going to have y minus 10 equals 5x, and then 5 minus 2 is negative 10. All right, so now we want to get the y by itself. So to do that, we have to add 10 to both sides. Now you notice over here, this is also negative 10. So when you do that, you're going to get rid of the 10 on both sides. It just happens that that's the way this particular problem is, which is fine. That's cool. Works for me. Should work for you. So 10 and negative 10 goes away, and you get y equals 5x. And of course, the 10 and negative 10 goes away here. And this is your answer. Now, you are going to, when you write this, or when you put this into IXL, you must show the entire equation, y equals 5x. If you leave out the y equals, you'll get it wrong. Okay? All right. So now let's go over to the second problem. And so here we have your point. And here you have your slope. Okay. So let's write the equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And of course, your y1 is going to be your 8. Oops, I keep saying that, and that's not right, because this is x and this is y. Your y is going to be your 5. Your slope is going to be 0. Your x1 is going to be 8. Okay? So you're going to rewrite this as y minus your y1 of 5 equals 0 times your x minus your x1, which is 8. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and simplify and then undo. So I'm going to distribute the 0 to the x minus 8. Now this is going to be interesting, obviously, because you've got a 0 you're multiplying these by. So y minus 5 we'll write first. And that equals 0x. And then 0 times negative 8 is just 0, so this is really x plus 0. Now I notice I went to a plus sign. It's because, you know, there is no such thing as a negative 0, so you just put in positive 0. All right, and so then we're going to have to add 5 to both sides to get y by itself. And so great, we do that. Now I'm going through this, although you can see this is going to be 0, just so that you can see the form. So y minus 5, I'm going to add 5 to it. You're left with y. Now, this would be 0x plus 5, right? Well, wait, is it 5? Well, we're adding 5 to both sides, yes. So it's 0x plus 5. Well, this is really y equals 0 plus 5. So y equals 0. Oops, y equals 5. Okay, so there you have it. You've got your equation y equals 5. Now, I'm going to show you how to just quickly, at least with this particular problem on the left, verify with your calculator that indeed that's a correct answer. So here, your point is 2 and 10. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's clear this. I'm going to go over here to my TI calculator, and I'm going to type in y equals 5x, which I've already done there. And then what I want to do is I want to create an XY graph that is large enough so that I can see single individual points. So I'm going to go to my window here, and what I've done here is I've changed the X minimum to -5 and its maximum to 5. And I also changed the Y minimum to -5 and its max to 5. And so by doing that, I will get a fairly zoomed in screen. All right. So I'm going to go over ahead and press graph. Now when I do that, you can see that the points are clearly marked off by the little tick mark. So if I were to just go from the origin here where the line crosses the origin at 0, 0, and I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go over 1, because this is number 1, then obviously the line is a slope of 5 over 1 or 5. The other way you can do this is you can look at the points. So to do that, we're going to go over to this button called Trace. You press Trace, and let's see here. Now I touched some stuff, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the X to 2. So I'm going to type in 2, and now you'll notice it changed the X to 2. And then I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to tell me what my Y should be. And notice it says the Y is 10. So that means that you've got a correct answer here because it graphs correctly. Okay. Now the one over the problem on the right is you could do the same thing, but if you think about this, y equals 5 and the slope is 0, so that means when you come up with your xy graph here, if the slope is 0, then you just go up to where up to 5 here, and you draw your line, and it's going to be a horizontal line because 0 slope is a horizontal line. So that's the graph of the line there. And all the x values on that line are correct. So 8, which is over here somewhere, is, that's where approximately the point 8, comma 5 would be. So you can see that it's correct. Okay. All right. So those are the first two. Now we're going to go to our last problem. So our last problem, they give us 2 points. So when they give you 2 points, you have to find the slope first. So I'm going to write that. Given 2 points, find the slope first. All right, so the slope formula is slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to label this first set of coordinates x1, y1, and the second one x2, y2. And so now I'm going to put in the coordinates. So let's see, y2 is -7, so I'm going to write -7 here, minus, and my y1 is -8. Now I'm going to put that in parentheses because I've got this negative sign here, that's part of the formula. So I've got -7 minus -8, and I'm going to divide that by my x2 coordinate. My x2 coordinate is 0, minus my x1 coordinate, and my x1 coordinate is 8. All right, so let's simplify this. So that equals, let's see, -7 plus 8 over -8. And so that equals, this becomes +1 on the top, and on the bottom it becomes -8. So the slope is -1 over 8. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and write my point slope formula again because I now have the slope and I have the points. Now I'm going to use this x1, y1 set of coordinates here for my formula. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so here's my slope. And of course, these are the coordinates that are going to go populate the x1 and the y1. So I'm going to write them out. So I've got y minus, now my y1 here is negative 8. So I got a negative going on. I've got to put negative 8 here. And that equals my slope, which is negative 1/8, negative 1 over 8 rather, times x minus, and my x1 is positive 8. So that comes out as negative 8. Now when we simplify it, y minus negative 8 is y plus 8. And then you have negative 1/8 times x minus 8. Now we're going to distribute the negative 1/8 to the x and the negative 8. So I'm going to write y plus 8 equals negative 1/8x, and then negative 8 over 1 times negative 1 over 8, negative times a negative is positive 1 over 1 or 1. Okay? Again, so what I'm doing here, this is basically 8 over 1, right? And so, and again, negative times a negative is positive. Negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8. 8 times 1 is positive 8. 8 over 8 is 1. Okay? Now that you know that, then you're going to simplify by getting the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. And when I do that, I get y equals, this cancels, of course, negative 1 over 8. And then, let's see, plus 1 minus 8, that's minus 7. Okay? So, we've got your slope, we've got your y-intercept. So this is actually, when I say b, that's the y-intercept. This answer has come out in slope-intercept form, if you can see that. So that's basically it. And so now go ahead. This is over, and you can start your IXL, and you're going to be doing it again for skill number 8. Have a good day. We'll see you later.